Have we finally found the power station solar generator that can do it all? Today we are going to be reviewing the Ecoflow River. Welcome to Expedition Lightbulb. Please support the channel by subscribing. It helps immensely. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for our new videos. Thank you in advance. Since the beginning of Expedition Lightbulb, I have been looking for the most perfect power station and solar generator. I think we have found it. With the caveat, there is a lot of things wrong with this thing. But if you understand the limitations of this and how to test it yourself and making sure it works, this may be the power station for you. Who am I going to recommend this to? Number one are going to be my apartment dwellers. Number two, my non-hardcore preppers. Number three are going to be my hobbyists, my photographers, and drone pilots. What stood out to me was the extreme inverter. It was able to boil water. It was also able to run my fridge. So for the non-hardcore preppers, this may be able to bridge the gap through a power outage. The charge time. This will go from 0 to 80% in 1 hour. That is exceptionally fast. So for my apartment dwellers, they may not have access to a backyard or a balcony for their solar panel. So through the wall AC, this can gather power. So this is going to be a humongous power bank for you. And for my hobbyists, you are able to put an extra battery on this. You'll go from 288 watts to 576 watts. And why I wanted to review this is because this is available internationally. And lastly, I wanted to counter rolling blackouts. I wanted to see if I can find a power station that is reasonably cheap that can power up a refrigerator, and I found it. This unit can do it. So what raised my eyebrows in a negative way? It's going to start with the extreme inverter. I'm praising it, then I'm telling you that I don't like it. That's just how my life is going to go. This is why I'm the worst salesman in the world. So that extreme inverter, it drops the voltage when it goes above 600 watts, meaning it can destroy your sensitive equipment. You got to be real careful with that. And Ecoflow is very transparent with that. It says it in their manual. So just please be careful with it. We're going to talk about it a lot more later. The other thing that raised my eyebrows that I thought was going to be a real positive was the power cord. I first saw this with the hybrid power. And when I saw it with the Ecoflow, I was very happy. The charge brick is in here. With the amount of energy that's coming from the wall outlet, this gets very hot and it retains it. There's only one fan exiting through here, and the entrance port for the air in and out are very small. With this extreme inverter, it gets very hot when it also expends energy. It's in the middle of winter. This thing should be loving life right now, just like the rest of my power stations, but this one actually overheats. It's in the middle of winter. Battery capacity. This is a sample of 1, but what I've noticed is that this thing runs out of power very quickly. We use this to run an appliance. It's going to be a humidifier. It's very low draw, about 17 watts. It should be able to run it for like 17 hours. That's what Ecoflow says on here. It barely does 10. There's something wrong with that. So I will be talking to Ecoflow with that. Again, it is only a sample of 1. And finally, the last gripe I have is the Wi-Fi connection. I don't need this thing to have connection to the internet. This is going to be used as my last backup power station for lights and electronics. If the hackers get into the grid and shut it down, what stops them from shutting this down? My Goal Zero doesn't talk to the internet. The Jackery doesn't talk to the internet. They may hack into this, and we're going to be left in the dark. What comes in the box? And every solar generator power station company should take to note the value of this. You're going to get your MC4 to XT60 cable. It's short, but I truly appreciate it. The one that I love the most is going to be the AC-DC adapter to XT60. I love this thing. Next is going to be your AC wall outlet plug, and then your 2.5 to 2.5, which I haven't used yet. So this is going to be a comparison to the River and to the River Max. The one that we are going to be reviewing is the River, and that's 288 watts. If you get the extra battery, you will be able to go to 576 watts. The cycle is going to be 500. I'm going to doubt that. Next is going to be output. Output is going to be at 600 watts. That's good. And then the surge, I pushed it further than that, as you're going to see on the test. AC input, it's actually more than 250, which is super awesome. Solar, 200 watts. I was not able to test that because of my equipment limitations, but I did do a function check on the solar. It works. For the amount of technology that is in there, 11 pounds seems pretty light, but compared to the Jackery 300, this is exceptionally heavy. I invite you to pause it here so that way you can look at the details a little bit better. Let's look at the specs that stand out to me. You're going to get a USB-C port charging at 100 watts. That is industry max. That's the best. You're going to get 3 USB-A ports, one's at quick charge at 18 watts and 2 that are normal 12 watts. That's outstanding. The charge time is going to be at 1.5. I know it says 1.6, but my testing is 1.5. That is awesome. And of course, the Extreme inverter, 600 watts, and it's going to max out around 1200. We are going to push this to where it almost burns the house down. The test that I hate the most, but is probably the most necessary, is going to be this discharge test. Good luck, Ecoflow. This is a good time to explain why I do my discharge tests with the kilowatt. Number one, I had it before the channel even started. Number two, in a grid down situation, most people are going to use their AC appliance and use it. I do not know of too many people that have DC appliance. That's including us. The fan is a constant control that we've been using on Expedition light bulbs since the beginning. It draws 73 watts, giving even the smallest solar generator a chance at a good result. We only pulled 170 watts. That's 59%. That is the worst I've seen for power stations. This is very surprising because everyone else got really good results, anywhere from 83 to 93%. We got 59. Again, this is only a sample of one, but it is the sample that I got. It's real world testing. Take two. So this time we decided to use a space heater because the fan in the middle of winter was blowing that cold air for 2.5 hours. We got better results on this, 200 watts, and it's 69%. It's still well below average. Does this correlate with those generic batteries? I have no emotional attachment to Ecoflow like I do with Energy, Jackery, or Goal Zero. With that being said though, I am much harsher on those brands versus Ecoflow. That is the reason why I did this test 3 times. I wanted to make sure that I got good, fair results. Our third test is still with the space heater, and finally we got decent average results. 210 out of 288 watts equals 73% of usable capacity. Average, still average. After my disappointing capacity test, I had to further investigate those batteries. This is a screenshot of Lithium Solar's teardown of a Ecoflow River. It's GPHN. That is very generic. This next screenshot is going to be their spokesperson here in the United States doing a factory tour of their facility in China. Those green batteries look to be the same as these GPHN, but that is totally up to you to judge if they are or not. Never ever trust what I say. Always verify, especially if it's coming from YouTube. Verify, verify, and finally, verify. After my discharge test, I did a charge test, and this little unit, hands down, best in the industry when it comes to charging. 0 to 80 in 1 hour and 1 minute. That is an absolute pass. 100% to 288 watts in 1 hour and 38 minutes. Absolute the fastest. The Energy Flex is acting like a tanker here, and we were outputting 340 watts total, and the River took in 288 watts, only a 15% loss. The best way to charge this as a Powersite solar generator power station is through the DC port. I only got a 10% loss the month I've had it. The next clip is going to demonstrate knowing your equipment. My trusty GoZero 400, it says that it can push out 300 watts on the inverter. I know for a fact it will not be able to do this. But the value of Ecoflow is that they gave you a DC charge port to XT60. So essentially, it becomes a Powersite solar generator power station. And this came for free. This was included in the package. So you get MC4 connectors, you get a DC charger, and a AC wall outlet cord. This is going to be my light bulb moment for this episode. To be able to take existing equipment, know the limitations, and actually expanding our power bank by 288 watts. And by the way, that GoZero 400, we've had it since 2017. The best it can do is 87%, which is still outstanding. Great job, Ecoflow. Great job, GoZero. This is an example of pass-through. We're getting power from the wall outlet or solar, and we're expending 30 watts out. I was doing my generator PM, and this is the first experiment I had. I wanted to see if modified sine wave can power the Ecoflow. This next demonstration is going to be us boiling water. This is 1500 watts with the flex. It's 1500 watts with the kilowatt. It shouldn't be able to do this. This is at half a liter, which is going to be the least amount. It should not be able to do this. As you can see, it's 600 watts here. How is it able to do this? Well, this is the X boost. What it does is it lowers the voltage. We're going to let it run for a little bit, and then I'll actually check the volts on the kilowatt. This is ultra slow. I'm going to time this against the flex. The other thing I'm concerned about was the first time I did this, it actually started to smell like plastic, like burnt plastic. So I stopped it. But at the same time, I will show you on the thermostat that it got up to 174 degrees, the water did. So it does work, it just takes a little bit longer to do. It's just amazing that it can do this. So I know it sounds negative what I'm saying, but to be honest with you, for $300 price point or $350 if you pay full price, this is not bad at all. As you can see right there, it's running at a constant 599, 600 watts. And this is what it's going to do on the kilowatt. Instead of running at 120 volts, it's only running at 76. Okay. So that's up to you if you want to run sensitive electronics on it. I would not. Anything above 600, I would not run sensitive electronics on it. I personally would not. Under 600 without the X boost, when it's running normally like an inverter, I would trust it. But other than that, if you want in an emergency to boil water, that is excellent. It's actually pretty amazing. You can start listening to the kettle actually start making noise. So this is around 3 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm going to try to smell that burnt plastic because I don't want to overload this. The first time was really disconcerting just because it's a new product. As you can see, we got the fire detector here, even though I'm here with a fire extinguisher, but it's still pretty concerning the first time. No smoke, but the smell of burnt plastic was really disconcerting. 5 minutes, still going. Again, you can see that it lowered the volts from 120 to 75 to 76. Still, this is the only one in the market that does this. That's freaking amazing. And I'll show you what it's doing out here. And as you can see the steam, hopefully. And the watts, and there's that. Yeah, I can smell that burnt. I hope you guys can see the steam. It's almost done. Oops. Six minutes, 30 seconds. 7 minutes. And it's taken around 25% of the battery. Now, if you can see that steam, that is pretty awesome. All right, I'm going to turn this off. We're at 9 minutes. It didn't click all the way, but I'm starting to smell, burnt plastic. And it smelled like that the first time. It'll probably be okay, but I'm not trying to break the unit. Actually, you know what? Let's try to break it. I tripped that on my own. I don't want to break the unit. Now, this is the fan. It's 111. All right, I'm going to open up the kettle. 196 degrees in there. So it did the job. It almost got to the boiling point. There's no other unit that does this in the market. Good job, Ecoflow. Ecoflow versus the burner. Just add a little bit of salt, and guess what? Here are your results. It passed with flying colors. This is amazing. Lady Luck is not on my side when it comes to these refrigerator tests. The first test, I lost the footage. The Ecoflow was able to power it up for more than 30 minutes. The second time, the system shut off and I did not know it was off. So this timing is inconclusive, but it is able to run the refrigerator. On our third attempt, the unit was warm because we just charged it. Now we're going to be asking it to power a refrigerator, which is going to heat it up even more. As you can see, it overloaded a couple of times. The disheartening thing was the voltage actually dropped to 90. I would not use this for a newer refrigerator, to a point where I was like, I'm not willing to damage my own refrigerator with this. Now, in an emergency, will you use this? That's up to you. But this can power it in an emergency for around 30 to 45 minutes. To this date, this is going to be the most controversial recommendation I can give. The answer is going to be, it's going to happen by your situation. If you're an apartment dweller, yes. If you are going to be the casual prepper, you just need to check off that box for a solar generator or a power station. This is the one. Hobbyist, awesome. For the hardcore prepper, there's no way I would have this in my house. The main reason why I can recommend this to my casual prepper is that they're only going to get one unit. This unit can do a lot of things that my Flex 1500 can do, and that costs around $1,200 versus this is $300. The analogy to this is that it's going to be a sprinter. You can charge it fast, you can expend it fast. A sprinter can run fast, but it also needs a lot of time to rest between races. Now, can this unit do a half marathon? Yes, it can. Because of the app and the battery, you can do a half marathon. Can this thing do a full marathon? No, because of its batteries. This is a sample of one, and this is our sample. The batteries in here, I put 2 and 2 together, and they just don't last that long. Plus, if you are, another analogy would be running this as a car. If you had a sports car and you're always redlining the engine, you're eventually going to break this engine. And you could redline this engine. That's what they make it for. I don't think it's going to last. But if you use it as a half marathon runner, I think it will last for you. For my hardcore preppers, there is no way I would have this in my house because of the Wi-Fi connection, and your whole home is now susceptible to hacks. If you can get over the Wi-Fi connection, the biggest reason why I cannot recommend this is because of the research I did about my capacity test. It was so low. I had to look at other YouTubers and see if they got similar results, which they didn't. They actually got good results. But the common theme was that they had to send the Ecoflow River back. Whether it was given to them where they had the light blue handle or this gray one, which is the ones that we bought or they have purchased, they had to send it back. And for various reasons. One person, just like what we experienced, is that this was starting to smell like burnt plastic. That person actually saw smoke. I stopped it before we saw that. The others were having capacity tests. Some were having charge issues. It was all different, which to me means this is not a good unit. If you are going to get this unit, make sure you test out every port, every cable that gets to you. So use the MC4 cable, use the cigarette lighter charge port, use the AC charge port, your micro USBs, your C's, your A's, use them. DC port, make sure you test them. And finally, the extreme inverter. This is the one I would test out to the max, to where you can do 1200 watts and 600 watts. Make sure that you are under 600 watts. I would actually go below 600 watts if you're going to be using sensitive electronics. Please be part of the solution and please take care of yourself.